Hey kids, we're back. You're watching a Guitar Quackery Live. This is the one and only live streaming guitar repair channel. How about that? I just pulled out this guitar out of the box meaning this case. I'm placing a humidifier. It's kind of a little bit dry maybe. I have another one. Here, I did wet the sponge here. Inside of the case, yeah, I can put both of them. So the guitar dried up, and I'm going to do a full service on it. I'm going to rehumidify it, and yeah, we'll talk about that. So it's got some typical dryness issues. One of the issues is fret sprout. So it's not terrible, just a little bit sharp, and as you can see, this string gets stuck now. Like that. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, so now this is, so if I play a chord like the E chord, yeah, it's all dried up. The soundboard is collapsed. I can show you this from the other angle, from this angle here. Collapsed soundboard. So I can see it even without measuring that it's collapsed. Yeah, it goes down like this. Now if I place a straight edge on top, you can see the big gaps there. Even if I take a pick, now this is a pretty thick pick, it just fits under. Same thing here. Over here, collapsed. Okay, so a soundboard should have a dome. It should be puffed up a little bit, and this is why we have the strings are too low. They're almost touching the fingerboard, as you can see, and they're buzzing when you attempt to play. And you know, I am archiving this. Not necessarily, I didn't really want to do a live stream on this, but the thing is that the guitar's got some other issues that might need to be fixed, so if I put it on the playlist, it might be interesting to follow this guitar's progress. This saddle is already too low, and there's very little break angle behind the saddle on this string. These are kind of okay, but I wonder if when I puff up the soundboard, if the saddle is going to be too high, if the action is going to be too high, and we're going to need to lower it even more, the saddle, which means we're going to lose some break angle, which means we might need to cut the string slots just to restore the break angle. So I'm not really sure if we're going to need to do that. Here we have an issue with the nut, potentially. And I discussed that with a client already. So the nut is, yeah, these are feeler gauges. Now this one is a onion skin thickness, okay? So when you place it inside, like underneath like this, it's 2/100ths of a millimeter, right? If you push the string against the second fret, there should be a little gap left, as you can see there is, right? On the A string as well, on the D string, tight, but there is a gap. On the G string, no gap whatsoever. In fact, even if I try to push it like this, sometimes you can force it through, but it's not going through. On the B string, there's a gap, and on the E, there's barely a gap, but there is a gap. So what does this mean? Well, right now the string is buzzing regardless, but once I rehumidify the guitar, if the G string is still buzzing when you play it open, we're going to need to fix the nut. So I already discussed that with the customer. Now it's a bone nut, which means we might be able to fix it by doing a filling, dental composite filling. And yeah, let's have a look at this. Okay, so we are looking at the nut, right? But we're also looking at the surrounding area. Now you can see this little, whatever this is, right? Little flakes of something white. Now this is the A string. So when you tune the strings, they actually slide through the string slot. And as you can see on the bottom of the string, you have particles of bone. Now it's also the way they filed it. I'm sure that they just left a whole bunch of powder there. But because bone is an inconsistent material, sometimes it starts to, sometimes, you know, it can have soft spots and spots that don't really withstand all this pressure with the strings. Like here, it's chipping off. So you see the shiny surface is the witness point where the string is pushing down on the nut on the bottom of the string slot. But it's also wearing out here. So do we have a situation with the G string where it was actually cut correctly, but it wore down? And we do have some little particles around the nut there. I don't really know. But it is something that I did discuss with the customer, because I don't know how this guitar will perform once it's rehumidified. It's always an open question, right? So what I'm going to do is rehumidify the guitar first. Yeah, it's going to take, I don't know, 10 days before I can test anything. And then we'll decide. Now, I also need to deal with this fret sprout. It's not too bad, but like I said, you can even see it on camera. Because, bear with me, as you can see, the string does get stuck under some of the frets. Some of them. Not all of them. But anyway, they are a little bit sharp. So the first thing I'll do is, before I rehumidify the guitar, I'm going to just file down some of the fret ends. And that's what I will do with the strings on the guitar. I need to make sure that I don't scratch the guitar. I do have a safe edge file. So this is a modified file. This is a safe edge file, but I still don't want to hit the soundboard, right? So sometimes I just put something here like this when I work in this area. And I still try to avoid scratching it. But if I do hit it, I'm hitting the, in this case, is the action gauge. You don't need to put a piece of metal to protect it. You can put an old pack of strings, an empty pack of strings or something, a business card. It'll do the trick. So I'm just feeling it. Because once I rehumidify the guitar, the fingerboard will expand. And I won't have such good access to the fret ends. There are two schools of thought. I heard someone very knowledgeable, actually, talk about this on YouTube, saying that you shouldn't be doing this when the guitar is dry, because then the guitar will puff up a little bit when it's rehumidified. And then the fret ends are going to be indented a little bit. And, you know, I can see the point, but I don't fully agree with that, which is why I'm doing it my way. Now here I'm putting my thumb here so that I don't scratch the binding. Now, is it okay to do this with strings on the guitar? Absolutely. If you think about it, you do play the strings against the frets. I mean, they do damage the frets in the sense that eventually you see fret wear. But this is not going to damage the frets right now if I do it this way. And I prefer to do small sections at a time. I have better control over my file. So this part of the holder of the file, right, is pushing against the strings. And this is why I'm saying that some people might be worried that it's going to damage the frets if the strings are hitting the frets. Not really, right? We play the strings against the frets anyway. So one reason why I like to do small sections at a time is because if you go from here to here and back, you can slip more easily and then damage the frets because the file would hit the crowns. Now here, when I get close to the nut, I put my thumb there. And this file is angled. And since it's angled, I'm not going to be hitting the side of the neck. I really monitor it, and I always, you know, kind of feel with my thumb if I can still feel the fret protruding. But also, the file will start slipping across the edge of the binding, or in this case there's no binding but there's the fingerboard, and you will feel when you're done. So we are just taking advantage of the fact that the guitar is completely dried up. This is when we want to do the fret end dressing. Not a full dress, but the first part of it, which is the filing. And next, I'm going to throw the guitar under the microscope, and we are going to look at those fret ends. And you will see little particles of, this is why I'm not cleaning, because I want to show you on the microscope. You will see little particles of metal shavings next to the fret ends. The preliminary work will be done now, is being done now, and the final work will be done afterwards, once I do all the fret dressing work right before the setup. And I wasn't even going to put this guitar on the live stream, but here it is. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to send the link to the customer. He was just here. So I can send him the link later. He can watch a replay. I can still send him the link now, but then he would miss the beginning. Let me show you this. He also brought a bass, a Squire bass. I don't see a reason to do a live stream on that one, but yeah. So look at this. You'll see all of those shavings. Yeah. All right. Now, let's clean this side of the fingerboard. And now I do the same on the other side, but I can't put the guitar on my lap. I need to do it this way. Okay. Let me close my drawers. I'll start here. Again, I'm putting my thumb against the nut. This is a little bit off screen, but yeah, you get the idea. Now I will be cleaning it as I go, because I already showed you the shavings on the other side. It'll be the same on this side. So I'm going to start rehumidifying the guitar today. The first step in the rehumidification will be just a natural rehumidification without jacking anything up, or I just want to see how the guitar responds. So I'll show you how I do that in a moment. And the guitar will go in the vault, where I keep customers' guitars. I call it the vault because it is like a vault. It's got a metal door and a high security combination lock and CCTV inside. I kid you not. And insurance on top of it. So here, obviously, I'm getting close to the binding. So it's necessary to put my thumb here. Did I clean this? So, and small strokes. And you see my thumb is preventing on the side of the file to come too close to the soundboard. And I'm being really careful, obviously. So is the string still getting stuck? Still, okay. I think he said the guitar is from 2023. It is 2025 now. When you buy a Martin guitar, if you can figure out when the guitar was made, it might be a good idea to buy a Martin that was made in the winter, not in the summer. So this way, it is more likely to be a stable guitar. Why is that? Well, because factories don't always have rigorous humidity control like they should. So in the summer, I have a feeling that the Martin factory gets pretty humid. And they assemble guitars in a environment that is too humid. And those guitars are then more prone to dryness issues. That's my experience with Martin guitars. Now, I know that if you ask them, they will say, no, no, we have total humidity control, da-da-da. Okay. I work in a repair shop, and I know what I see that comes in, so. And I think that the Taylor factory has much better humidity control than Martin, from judging from all the circumstantial evidence that comes on the workbench. Okay, so now that string is no longer getting stuck. And I think it's okay, maybe a little bit more here. We're almost done with this part of the job. And, you know, all along I am, whenever I feel necessary, putting my hand here so that I control the position of the file. And whenever you do this, you need to be laser focused, which I am not right now because I'm talking to you, but I've done it before, so I feel that I can multitask. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so next I'm going to take some measurements of the collapsed soundboard. I'm going to use a very interesting tool, which I put a link in the description. It is an Amazon affiliate link. 4 people watching, 0 likes so far. What's up, guys? I already adjusted the truss rod. We have a 6 1/1000ths relief on the neck. Okay, you're just gonna have to trust me on this. So since I already adjusted the truss rod, I can now take a measurement, not really of the soundboard deflection, but a measurement of the bridge. Well, let me show you this with this straight edge first. Okay, so this straight edge here is, where's my switcher? Here. So after you adjust the truss rod, which I just told you I already did, you can take a straight edge, and there shouldn't be a gap here under the bridge. So here we have this gap. That shouldn't be there, should not be there, right? this gap is because the whole soundboard is collapsed. So once we puff up the soundboard, this gap will disappear. Let's hope. So this straight edge is more of a precision straight edge. So I'm going to take a precision measurement of this gap as it is today. So 1 point, it's metric, 1.35 millimeters, right? So this is 1 millimeter, and then it was 35, 1.35. Now, let's put this straight edge away, and let's talk about that using this lightweight straight edge. I just feel more comfortable using this on the guitar. And yeah, 4 people watching, still no likes. Or am I seeing this wrong? 1 like. Hey, thank you. All right, so I'm teaching you stuff, guys. Or maybe you already know this, I don't know. Okay, so important. And that's something I already discussed with the customer. When everything is 100% on spec, you don't have this gap. When you, after you adjust the truss rod, meaning the neck relief, and you project the level of the frets on the bridge, the straight edge will hit the saddle but kiss the top of the bridge. So now if I go down, it's kissing, right? But because I see that this saddle is very low, I think that's how they adjusted it at the factory, because I believe maybe the action was too high, so they just shaved the saddle on the bottom, right? Which means that after we puff it up, I think what we're going to see is, now if I just simulate it, we're going to see this hitting the bridge. Okay? Now, let me zoom in on this. Okay, so again, I'm just going to simulate that by pushing this down, right? So if it hits the bridge, like this, once we rehumidify the guitar, so we won't have the gap anymore, but we'll have that. The strings might be too high. The action might be too high, which means I might need to shave the saddle even more. I don't really know. Which means we are going to lose more of this break angle, which means I might need to cut some string slots behind the saddle. Now those string slots, they look like this. So this is something that I have here to show to my customers when we discuss the needed services. Sometimes you don't have an option if you want the guitar to work. So first let me show you this. This is a bridge from a guitar, and this has the string slots already cut, right? This is how it was made. Now this came from another guitar, and as you can see here, the saddle is really low, right? This is a demo. So now when the string comes out of the string slot, you basically have very little break angle, sometimes no break angle to speak of. But here on this string slot, on this peg hole, I cut this string slot, So now the string will be coming out this way, and you can see how you restore the break angle. So I am not sure if this might be a needed or recommended service on this bridge once we rehumidify the guitar. We'll see that. And like I said already at the beginning of this live stream, we might need to fix the G string on the nut, because right now we have no clearance, no relief on it. So this might turn into more of a project. We'll see. Hopefully not. I don't really need the extra work. But if it does, I will be documenting this. So in the best case scenario, we rehumidify the guitar and do a setup on it. But if more work is needed, then, then more work is needed, Right now the guitar is buzzing so much, I cannot really test how the G string sounds when we play it open. But it seems to be low, too low. I don't know if it's too low or if it's just right. Can't tell right now. All right, so next thing I do is release string tension. And all I'm going to do today, first day, is just a natural rehumidification without doing any kind of jacking up of the soundboard, nothing, because you always want to do the least amount of work that's needed, never more than necessary. But we do need to release the string tension here, okay? And now I have here this humidifier that's going to go. I already wet the sponge. So this is just going to go here, okay? And I'm going to put the guitar in the case. And I already have a case humidifier here. I have two of them, actually. So there are other things in the case. But I will find the space for the humidifier right here. So this compartment is missing the lid. Let me see. Okay, I'll put it right here. Let's see if it fits. Yeah, it does fit. Okay. So, oh, it's missing one of the latches. The case is a bit banged up. Oh, and there's the price tag. Yeah. $33.99. Okay. So that's that. And the guitar will go in the vault for one night, for one day. And tomorrow around the same time, I'm going to check it. So I took my measurement. It was 1.35 millimeters. I'm going to write that down. And tomorrow I will look, I'll see where it's at. Of course, I made a video recordings of what the soundboard looks like. And I will monitor the progress. I would say it's going to be about 2 weeks before I have this guitar back on the bench to continue this series, this live stream. Yeah, I don't know. I'll see. I just discovered that I must have spilled some super glue on my workbench, and that really annoys me. All right, I'll deal with this. Yeah, I will not be doing live streams of every time I look at the guitar. I've already done that on other projects. So yeah, so in the interest of time, I am only going to be live streaming the actual work after the rehumidification is done. Okay, my friends? So, all of you watching, thank you for watching. I am going to put another guitar on the bench in a few minutes. It'll be a Gibson SG. We're going to do some fret work on it. Well, we'll finish up the fret work, and then we'll do a setup. Okay, my friends, thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.